forms in Beastmoom that need buffs the most, or top worst forms. Dev Draconian. It's a form that doesn't have a 200 hit for 2 pips, and yet it has like 450 health. That's not good, and you know, this Hue Trap is like mostly useless in almost every situation. And the dot AoE, they're all bad. You know, he's not terrible, but he's not great. Ice Wolf is a form that is large. It has a lot of health, but it can only do 100 damage on the first turn, which is not completely terrible, but it can't do a really big shield. It can only do 100, and it can combine well with people who use minions, but if it doesn't have a partner who can use minions, it really struggles to do damage. It can't do stun block. So like the Ice Fairy, she can do 150 damage on the first turn, and also like Ice Wolf boosts from minions. Pacify can be useful sometimes. She can do a large shield, and yet she's a small form. She's a small form, and she can't do a shield that's like larger than 125. She can give pips. She has this giant shield that's for like 4 pips. That's if she doesn't do anything the first turn, like if she pacifies or something. Her AoE is one of the worst AoEs I've ever seen in a small form. She has the lowest damage. Life Colossus. Life Colossus, he can do over 50 damage the first turn. He has a Dark Protector, which is good. Like, that's his best move. And he can be useful for protecting the small forms. I completely agree. Like, he's been really useful. But it is true that he is a much worse option compared to other Colossus, like especially Storm and Myth. What annoys me the most and why I put him on this list is this heal over time. AoE is just disgusting. Like, so bad. It's so weak. This card should not be... Like, this is 4 entire pips. He starts with 0. That means past 4 turns to do a heal over time. Heal over times can't revive the dead, and they're very easily removed, and they're very slow. So this is just a horrible card. And his AoE is very expensive, so that's not good. He has a heal over time that clears dots, whatever. His heal is like just, you know, 225. This card is 225 damage, but the side effect doesn't really work in most situations, because like you're not gonna use this to kill a minion. So Life Croc is a form that if it's tier 5, which most people won't have, tier 4 or tier 5, it gets a tier 4 gets a 150 hit, which is fine. Like, that's the best card, that's the best thing you can do. But other than that, it can clear traps, which is fine, but not really super useful. And it can give heals to its friends for like 2 pips. That's really expensive because you're giving your friends 100 heal. So like, you can't revive. You can't revive in any other way. And your life. And your damage is like a tier 4, so that's so bad. And your AoE is a dot. That's horrible. This is one of the worst spells I've ever seen. Very weak. 4 pips to get a heal blade, and it clears traps, but like, you're never gonna live to... First off, you're never gonna live to have 4 pips. Second, if you have 4 pips, you're not gonna be using this, you're gonna be using this. And this is its like special card, but it doesn't help too much. If it was lower pip cost, it would be good. Like, if it was 1 pip maybe, then perhaps it could be good because you could use this and then use 150. instead of doing this, and then you can only 75, which is like almost nothing. Fire Rat is a form that it can be useful. All of these forms can be useful. I'm not saying they're completely useless. And I'm not saying that the order is like the exact order, but these are like forms that I think should get buffed. So like Fire Rat, it really struggles to survive the first turn. That is its biggest issue. So you use this hoping you would survive, so you gotta combine with someone else to protect you. And then, if you survive, you can do this AoE dot. So AoE, damage over time, attack on all enemies. You're attacking all enemies, you're doing a damage over time that's very big, and you're clearing shields. So yeah, good, but so many forms you can clear dots or shift them, so like it's not really that good. You're praying to survive one turn so you can do something that can be countered very easily. That his heal overtimes are really crappy, and his minion is really crappy. Like, his minion just does heal overtimes. So heal overtimes are really bad for small forms because they don't help them too much. They don't really help them survive. And I mean, they help them, but they don't matter in most situations, is what I'm saying. I think heal overtimes should be. His heal overtimes should be maybe a lower. Like a lower cost, or maybe have some kind of additional effect. Maybe he can do like a damage over time and a heal over time at the same turn, for example. I mean, something, I don't know. Fire Elf. So, Fire Elf is this very similar to Fire Rat, except that it can't pacify, but it can do this giant damage over time. That's better, but that's it. Like, literally, that's it. That is base card. It can also give pips by hurting itself, like damaging itself. But anyway, everything else, bad. Not really that good. Like, you do damage over times. It could be good in Mayhem if you're going against ice forms, for example, and they're shielding a lot. That's a great form, you know. Fire Elf is a great form against ice forms. But in Hunt, this form, it struggles to survive. It's even worse than Fire Rat because it can't protect itself at all. And it doesn't really do that much because damage over times can be countered and it can't live. So Fire Cyclops at tier 1 is hands down maybe the worst form in the entire game at tier 1. But when it gets to tier 5 or like tier 3, when it gets to tier 3 or level 3, it gets a 150 hit for 2 pips. That's good. Like, you know, that's its best card. That's the most damage it can do in the first turn. Then at level 4 it gets an AoE. That's like 225 damage and you do 300 dot on yourself for 4 pips. That's a good card. Like, it's not a bad card, but it's not great. If new players are using this for the first time, it's their first time, and you're giving them this thing that cannot do any flat damage and can only give pip, taunt, or mantle, and only a damage over time, it's really weak. It really needs something else. Like, comboing from minions isn't very helpful. Like, most minions aren't too common. I'd say maybe it would be cool if he had a minion, or if he could maybe do some kind of 1 pip damage hit, like a flat hit. Or maybe he could, I don't know. This card is the worst thing ever. His level 5 card, give 2 pips to all friends and clear a dot for 5 pips. You're starting with 2. So that means you gotta be like doing this thing, taunt and mantle, for 3 turns. in order to do this crappy thing that's like give 2 pips for 5 pips. So like if there's only 2 people in the fight, like you and someone else, you're basically using 5 pips just to give 2 pips to your friend. Life Health is one of the worst forms. However, it can have some niche uses, but not really most of the time. The biggest problem is that at level 1, which is how most people will experience this form when they try it, or level 3, it can only do 100 damage. And that's really, really low for a form with under 400 health. Plus, it can only do 200 heal for 2 pips. And that's it. Like a heal over time, there's a blade that side effects completely not really that good. Like it's not gonna happen most of the time, and if it does happen, it won't matter. This should be like at least, I know, 250 heal, I'd say, for 2 pips. Because it's a healing form. And Begao is just... I wish this was for players. It's only for minions. So this is like... If it was for players and it costed pips and it's like 1 copy, it would be a really like creative and awesome form. The only like special thing is that his pip aura gives 3 pips per turn instead of 2. But that's a bug, and it's not gonna stay like that. And his 200 hit is like 4 pips, so he can do it on the 2nd turn. So that's good if he survives. He can do 200 AoE. But that's if he survives 1 turn, and won't happen most of the time. He can't do much on the 1st turn, which is bad when you're a small form, especially because you need to do something on the 1st turn, because that's when it matters. Balance Rat. It can do 150 hit. That's good. It has 2 150 hits. It can give pips. And that's it. Like, I don't know. It can do the Scorpion that stuns if there's a weakness or like an infection. That's good. Like, it can do it for 0. So, yeah, I mean, you can do that. But other than that, it can do high damage. And giving pips as a small form, it just feels really underwhelming. And the thing that I hate the most is this thing, the AoE. It's like 6 whole pips just to do 225 damage. You have to first use this weakness, then use this spell on yourself, and then on the 3rd turn, you can do a 225 hit as a form with under 400 health. That's really, really bad. I think Balance, which is my favorite school, deserves better. Like, it should have some kind of pip manipulation, like how Balance Elf has. You know, it can steal pips. I'd say it would be cool if it had something like Mana Burn, or maybe something like Reshuffle. I don't know, something cool. Death Cyclops, his biggest problem is that he can only do 50 damage on the 1st turn. That's his biggest problem. The other thing is that his AoEs, his 2 AoEs are the worst AoEs I've ever seen. 125 for 5 pips, that's incredibly low for 5 pips. Clear a blade, like most likely they won't have blades when you're doing this because you need 5 whole pips. And 250 dot, not good in most situations, really slow. Really, really slow. Even if this is a big form, it's still way too slow. The Afterlife Poison is a cool card. I wish it, like, I don't think it's a bad card. I think it's a good card. And the weakness is amazing. Like, that's the best thing you can do in most situations. This combo with the dots is fun, but from what I hear after the audit, Death won't have damage overtimes because those are fire related and Death is not connected to fire, so it's not gonna have damage overtimes. But yeah, it's not great. The weakness is also really like 4 pips just for 150 weakness, and that's it. Like this is, it's not a good form. Second worst form is Balance Fairy. Balance Fairy is the second worst form. She really needs a buff. Like her tier 5 spell is just horrible. And really like just really underwhelming. It can't do high damage. It can only do 75 first turn. Only 75 damage first turn. That's really bad because you're a small form. You can give 3 pips to your friends, but like that's not really that, like it doesn't matter that much. Like yeah, that's good, but it's not really like that's the best thing you can do. Like that's the best thing you can do. And yeah, you can do damage over time, slow, and you can detonate it on the second turn if you live. Damage over times can be countered, it's not protected. And this 525 hit, it's just yeah, if you live 3 turns and you pip yourself as while you're doing nothing, you can do this. But that's if you survive 3 turns, which is very rare, and the heal times are bad, really weak, really slow for a small form. When you're a small form, you don't have time. You can't afford to, you know, be doing heal times because you're gonna die in like 1 second most of the time. And yeah, really low damage and low value. I'd say her worst spell is her tier 5 spell, which is crazy because the spell that you get when you spend the most resources is just insanely bad. This is plus 1 pip if they use a rank 3 or higher spell on the person you cast it on. So like rank 3, that means like a spell that does 300, for example. You're not gonna survive most of the time. Or if they use, or if like a friend uses like a 3 pip card. But that's like rare. Life Minotaur. Life Minotaur is the worst form, in my opinion, in the entire game. He's not, I'm not saying he's unusable, or if you like him, you're bad, or whatever. I'm not saying that. But I think he has the worst spells compared to others if you take into account both Beastmoon, Hunt, and Mayhem. So, like, the thing is that he can only do 75 per turn. That's the first thing, you know, not good. Most forms can do at least 150 or 100. 75 is horrible. The other thing is his 150 heal for 2 pips and 100 heal for 1 pip. These are so low value because, you know, he's a healing form. He's supposed to have 100 heal per pip, in my opinion. When he's a healing form, he should be doing like 200 as a heal, because that's what life is. You know, life does healing a lot, and his heal over time is just 4 pips for a heal over time. Heal over times are really easily countered and really slow, so that's just terrible. Most of the time, if you see your friend use this card, you know you're gonna lose. Like, you know they're wasting four whole pips to do a hero time, you know you're gonna lose. Yeah, you have a 225 hit if you wait a turn. Or if you do a 50 hit, you can push dots. This Afterlife is like a worse version of everyone else's mantles, because you gotta wait for someone to die for it to work. And this is really expensive. Like, you gotta wait a turn to use it. just to do like 200 basically for the first turn that you do it. So yeah, that's the worst form. In my opinion, the top 3 forms that need a buff are Balance Fairy, Life Minotaur, and probably Balance Rat or Death Cyclops. Those are the top 3 forms that need buffs. Death Cyclops, Balance Fairy, and Life Minotaur. Balance Fairy and other forms. I spoke with, Cam, who is the Beastmoom developer, and he said that when he's auditing the forms, he doesn't want to change their spells too much. Like, he will make them better so that their values are stronger. Like, for example, after the audit, I assume that Balance Fairy will have a 200 hit for 2 pips, for example, and that does a heal over time. Or it could have, for example, maybe a 1 pip 200 hit, dot, or like a 125 hit for 1 pip, like Balance Elf. And I was asking him, could we maybe have like some kind of unique, crazy, interesting spell for Balance Fairy instead of this? Like for example, Mana Burn or Dampen Magic, like something that limits pips, or a reshuffle, something cool, crazy. And he said that he doesn't want to change the spells so much, so like he will decide what he thinks is best. I think it would be cool if we could have something unique for some forms that lack something really special. Like Balance Fairy, she I don't know. It depends, on your taste or whatever.